All right, this is exciting. Welcome officially to the very first podcast for Miles to Margin, my new channel dedicated to helping owner operators find more success in their business and for prospective owner operators or lease purchase program entrants to give you some content to help you make the very best decision possible. That's the ultimate goal of the channel. I really want to focus on the thought process and the different approaches that can be taken to take that very first step into becoming an owner operator. So today, if you're a current company driver thinking about taking that step, this is the perfect intro podcast for you to spend 10 minutes with me. Just give me 10 minutes and let me give you some unfiltered thoughts on what I think it takes to become an owner operator, the ways that you can do it, and from my perspective, the ways that'll help you find the most success in doing it. And so the three avenues to me that come to mind are kind of the very entry level approach of, hey, I'm just going to find a lease purchase program with a large carrier. I don't have any money saved. My credit score is not great, but I work hard and I think I can go make more money. And that's the best way for me to ultimately own my own truck. That's path one. Path two to me is really the approach of going a dealership route and maybe doing a more selective lease to own program there, or maybe just full on financing for a used truck. I like this approach. I think it's a good meet in the middle approach, but it does require some front end work on your end, which means you really need to save several $1,000s to put down. You need to have several $1,000s saved in addition to that for your safety net that you're absolutely going to need for the first 3 to 6 months until you can build up a cushion. And you're likely to need a pretty solid credit score here as well. I'm not saying it needs to be perfect and 700, 750 plus, but you probably got to have a solid credit score to go this route as well. And then there's the third kind of jumping all in route, which is true financing of a piece of equipment. It's potentially also going investing in a trailer, your own authority, securing all of your insurance coverages directly, and going the full owner operator route of you own every piece of equipment, you're working through brokers or load boards to get your loads and you're all in. It stops with you and you're the full business owner. There's probably a path for people that are ready to jump straight into that, even having never done a lease program or operated under their own authority before. I would tell you there's levels to the game. And so I would recommend not jumping all the way in there. But I'm also going to sit here and tell you, and this is where you may not like it, it's probably not a good idea for you to go enter a no credit check, no money down lease purchase program, sign up with a large carrier, start making some bad decisions right out of the gate. And then next thing you know, you owe several $1,000s. You have a very bad taste in your mouth. You didn't like it. The leasing company didn't like it. The carrier that you were leased onto didn't like it. Nobody wins in that scenario. And here's the sad part, that is 80% of what I saw over my 20-year career in this space. Now, will I also sit here and tell you that you can go into a no money down, no credit check lease purchase program tomorrow and still be successful? 1000%. I could not count the number of drivers I've seen make that decision and go to immediately bringing home $2,000, $2,500 a week. This is where it gets tricky. You have to stack those weeks, week after week after week after week, because those big truck payments, the maintenance escrow, your fuel bill, your insurances, your tolls, all of those costs keep coming and they don't stop. And what happens a lot of times is drivers will enter these lease purchase programs. They'll sign up for an expensive truck payment and they will go lease on with a carrier and they're not really given any additional education or support. And because they didn't have a safety net coming into this, they might decide they need to go home before they can start. They might have a significant repair that happens in those first few weeks, and they immediately end up thousands of dollars in the hole. And then they get motivated to come back out. And let's say they gross $4,800 in revenue that week. Do you know what that next pay settlement says in terms of net take home pay and what goes into their bank account? $0. And then they come back out the next week, they're gonna fight through it, and they work their tail off again, and they have another huge revenue week, and you know what their net take home pay was? $800. That's because they still had a debt or an arrears from the week before, driven from not running 2 weeks ago, that still came out of that same settlement, and they were back net positive again, but not very much. And so now you have somebody that is looking and saying, "What in the hell am I doing with my life? I just busted my ass for 2 weeks, grossed almost $10,000 in revenue, and I brought home $800." And that, my friend, is the reality of becoming an owner operator. There are tons of ways to find success here. And this channel, as I build out content, and listen, I'm brand new. And so I'm going to ask for a little bit of patience, but I'm also going to ask for your trust. I've lived through this. I've seen what works, seen what doesn't, and there is a way to be successful. My job here is to not talk you out of doing it because I love the owner operator dream and I see it work and it can be successful in an up market and a down market. You have to know that sometimes you're going to be hauling freight at a higher rate and sometimes it's going to be at a lower rate. But if you can control your behavior and you can understand how to control your costs and you're willing to commit and you're willing to truly run this like a business owner and invest in the time and resources and support to be successful, you can absolutely crush it. So don't let this channel or this episode or my commentary scare you away from it. What I do hope that it does is it makes you stop and think about it. And maybe it tells you, I need to wait 6 months. I'm not ready. Let me prove to myself that I can get my personal finances under control. Let me prove to myself that I'm willing to commit to saving $3,000, $5,000, whatever that number is for a down payment. Oh, by the way, I have a significant amount of personal expenses that are dragging down my credit score from late payments, etc. Are there any things that I can do to start repairing that? Again, not solving for perfection, but solving for improvement. A little bit of money, a decent credit score equals tens of thousands of dollars that you ultimately don't spend on a truck. Money, by the way, that is well above and beyond the value of that truck. Because if you enter with no money down and no credit check, guess what? There's going to be a lot of costs that are built into the price that you're paying to protect them from the risk that they're taking on you. And so that's a mindset you need to understand as well. They are taking a risk on you because you are not coming to the table with security and money and risk avoidance. Okay. So maybe it gets you to a point where you say, you know what, I still want to chase this dream, but let me learn about it. Let me understand what I'm getting into. Let me prove to myself that I'm ready to take that commitment. Because if you can't prove that to yourself now, what is going to make you think that you can do that when the stakes are higher and you've signed that contract? And so maybe it makes you take a breath and wait and decide I'm going to be better prepared. Maybe you're going to go full steam ahead into that lease purchase program anyways. You're not destined to fail, but you're likely to fail. So please listen to what I have to say on this subject, because I will tell you that if you can check the box of running as hard as you can possibly run for those first 6 to 8 weeks, not turning down freight, choosing to try to learn to control some of your costs, you will make enough gross revenue that if you understand your costs from day one and the importance of momentum, that you can still build up that safety net that you need. Now, you might still be paying a lot for that truck payment and for all the other expenses, but you can still get out in front of that and you can still make really good money. But it's all about early momentum. It's all about you having the right behavior and swallowing your pride a little bit and understanding that you don't know everything and that you need to learn. That's what I'm here for. And so there's a path to be successful, even if you decide, you know what, I'm too stubborn, I'm going to jump right in. Okay. But you better be able to check that box, because if not, I'm telling you, you're setting yourself up for failure, and not just failure, but then having to go start all over again in a different job with no momentum, no confidence, and you're in the hole financially. That's not an outcome that anybody wants, but unfortunately, it's an outcome that exists a lot today. And again, that's why I'm here. Sincerely, thank you all for listening. First podcast episode. Please, please, please like, follow, come back for more. Tell me what you want to hear. This is very surface level today. It served a purpose to understand the ins and outs of how to enter the owner operator world. We're going to dig a lot deeper, and there's a lot more content to come. Your momentum and your interest is going to help this thing become what I hope that it becomes someday, so we can help thousands of you become better operators, propel yourself into being a business owner, and do it the right way. Thanks for listening. Have a great, great day. Stay safe on the road.